Assurance and Reliability Engineering. So that is our course. We already explained what do we mean by quality assurance and reliability engineering. Now we want to start with the course and know what we should do exactly. This is myself. If you don't know what are the meanings of this stuff, you can search for them. But these are international organizations that, alhamdulillah, we work with them. That's all. So history of quality. We are going to start with a history of quality. I wish I made this clearer. Sometimes I see things clear when I see them alone, but when I teach students, I feel different. Okay, so what do we have here? Here I'm going to talk about the history of quality, and you're going to see that. Okay, that's fine. And then, so we're going to be discussing the history of quality and how did it change and evolve with time. And usually this slide, it is covered within a few minutes, but for me it will not take a few minutes. It will take the whole lecture. The reason is that, like, I like to go into the details of the meanings of every part of this small table that you can see here. So having to look at the left-hand side here, so we have the time period. That means how was the quality, or how did we approach quality, or what was the meaning of quality in 1920? What was the meaning of quality in 1920-50, and what was the meaning of quality in this third era, and what was the meaning of quality in 1980 and onwards? Actually, in about even 1995 or 2000, not exactly, let me say 2000, there was also a new era of something called excellence. Okay, and now in 2000 and 2000 and there were new stuff. I don't know why should I mention them or not, yani, but there was something new in 2017 as well, called recognition, but don't worry about it. It's a marketing name more than anything else, just not to have you losing concentration. So what I'm trying to show you here is the history, and how did it develop from one era to another. So we are looking at the time period, and within this time period, we want to see if in 1920, quality was about inspection. It was about inspection. And what do we mean by inspection? We need to go to the details to understand that. So we need to look at the approach, the way to operate, the point of view, the priority, the methods and tools, and the responsibility. The best thing is to think of an example so that we can grasp the concept of that. So what happened in 1920s? You see the discovery before 1920. We had the discovery of al-Bukhar, okay, steam, where you can have a lot of cars, trains, and even you have big factories. Okay, they can work based on what? Based on steam. So steam had a lot of energy that it can move all those stuff on the right. Okay, so when you started producing something, you started producing an equipment. Before there were no cars, let me say it mainly was, and I know there are cars and trains here I mentioned here, but to be honest with you, steam started even before that. It was the 1800s. So mainly you had cars when you started in the 1900s. And this is where the discovery of steel and iron, and using iron in industry, using iron in industries. So what happened is that you have a big production of cars and trains and many stuff. Okay, so what is it about quality and inspection in the 1920? It was about what? It was about, well, now I'm having a car, and this car needs to be inspected to have a certain specification. So there are certain specification for the tires. There are certain specification for the windows. There are certain specification for the chairs inside. There are certain specification for the engine. So you need someone to inspect the car. يفحص. You need someone to inspect the car. So your eyes was mainly was mainly about looking at the final product. Final product. So you look at the final product. You don't look at the whole stages of the product. You don't look at the stages of having the raw material, till it gets to the product. You only look at the final product here. You only look at the final product. So that was the idea of quality. So now you're having a person sitting and making sure, طبعا, at the end you have this final product and he's looking at it. By looking at just a final product of a car, maybe it's a big example. But if you go to another example of saying that, well, I look at my burger. Okay, look at my burger. I don't know how beautiful is my burger here with a little mustard. عندنا okay, my burger يعني أسود okay بيكون. Okay, so that is a nice burger. So what I'm trying to say here now, this burger that you're looking at here, this is a final product. Now, we still have some shops opening today where they look at the final product. Actually, many of the small to medium enterprises, the small shops that you find, they look at the final product. However, maybe they are not looking at the stages where people start buying these sandwiches or buying the burger itself or buying the mustard. And then it goes through several stages. So looking at these whole stages together, this stage and that stage and this stage and the final stage and even the delivery stage, which is something that is after the production of your product, that is something to do with not 1920s. Okay, that was not 1920. All what I'm talking about here is after 1980. All what I'm talking about here is after 1980. So mainly 1920, we still have some shops, they are working only on the inspection part, where they go and taste the burger and it's fine. And I can prove this to you. Like, I already went to many of my friends where they asked me to go to their shop. And when I go to the shop and I start tasting the burger or the shawarma or whatever, so I taste it, and then I tell him it's good or you need to improve this sauce and that sauce, and that's all. And that's all. I did not go inside the cook room. I did not go inside the kitchen to look at the items that he's using. I did not look at the people if they're qualified. I did not look at the people if they are clean, they are wearing really very nice clothes, and so on. I did not look at the delivery. He's the one who delivered to me. So what I'm trying to say here, the time period when it was at 1920, it was mainly about what? Mainly about inspection. So now all of you know that, well, inspection is part of quality. Okay, so that is the important information that you need to know about. Inspection is important for quality. However, inspection is not enough. It is not enough. So what are the other items that we already mentioned here, but we need to make it well organized to make a good difference between each era from the other. So approach. So the approach here was mainly problem solving. يعني شنو problem solving? I found a problem in the burger. I fix it. I fixed the source. That's it. I took a test drive. I took a test drive for the car, and when I took the test drive of the car, I found that there is a problem. Fix it. So the idea of problem solving was the main thing to do. Okay, was the main thing to do. It's just problem solving. That is the approach. That was the approach. And what is the way to operate? You're looking for faults. That is what you're doing. You're testing to see if there is any drawback, if there's any fault, if there's any problem. Okay, so you're looking for faults. What is the point of view? You're having an inspected quality. So this is what you're trying to look at. You're not trying to control the quality. You're trying to inspect the quality. When I said control, I already shifted to the era. But why I'm trying to mention the word control, because controlling, that means you're not only looking at one side, you're looking at the staff members, you're looking at the raw materials. The staff members and raw materials, they call them resources. Either human resources or financial resources, or resources, the raw materials, resources, all those are resources. When I say human resources, I mean people. When I say financial resources, I mean money. And when I say other resources are the raw materials and any other, even the equipment. The equipment also are resources. So now I'm talking about the resources here. So trying to control, if I want to control, I need to control every part of the process. I need to control every part of the process. But just to make you feel better, I will explain what is quality control, the definition of it later. In this lecture, I'm trying to cover the history of quality. However, I'm trying to explain the history in terms of the definitions of each one. This will make you feel better. And then when I try to explain what is quality control, you already have an idea about it. Again, so quality control is more about looking at the whole process, okay? So if I'll take things out a little bit, now everything is recorded, so don't worry. So quality control is looking at all stages of the process. And inspection, I'm looking at the final product. I'm having my eye, as I have seen here, I'm having my eye on what? On the final product. So what I'm trying to do, if I find there's a problem, I'm going to fix it. And of course, my eye is open for any faults. So my mind is thinking, the way of my view, how I'm thinking of I'm an inspector, okay? I'm an inspector trying to inspect the quality. Priority, what is my main priority? My priority is to have steady quality, which means to have the same burger every time, which means to have the steady, that means the same. Hello? Same quality. Oops. So I want to have the same quality every time. I want to have the same car every time. I want to have the same burger every time. If I'm producing shirts, I want to have the same shirt every time. Okay, so that is my priority. Then what I'm trying to show you here, when you go to a higher level, quality control or quality assurance, your eye is not only on the product, your eye on something else. And something else means what? Means I don't look only for inspection. If I'm talking about quality assurance, I'm not only looking at inspection, I'm looking at the whole supply chain. Okay, the whole supply chain. So this quality assurance is even more sophisticated, more detailed than quality control. What I'm trying to say here, forget about these two. So here, steady quality, I'm looking only at the product, right? I'm looking at the product. However, quality management, I did not explain quality management, but at least I can show you here that it is concentrating on the customer. Now, what difference it makes? It makes a lot of difference. A lot of difference. Now we are producing arwa, water. And with producing arwa water, in هذه arwa. Okay, so that is arwa water. نكتب عليها arwa بعد يصير ولا ما يصير؟ زين. Arwa. Okay, I tried my best to write arwa. Okay, so now this bottle, which had been produced, if I was thinking like an inspector, the way of how it was in 1920s, which means I'm going to look only at the product, and looking at the product means that I'm going to look at the final product in terms of its shape, for example, in terms of the printout, and I'm looking at only the things which are outside. But then some of you will say, "La, we need to taste it. Okay, we need to make sure that it is water. Okay, it's not something else." And what I'm trying to say is, in terms of inspection, I'm looking at the water. I'm looking at its shape, how it looks like. But it depends on what instruments do I have to look for more stuff. Okay, so I taste it, I see it that it is water, and I'm happy. But looking at customer, things had been changing with time. I don't know if you realize that or not. We never mentioned, this is now 1980s and onwards. I'm talking about now. I was just for a moment talking about like 1920. Now I'm talking about 1980 and onwards. So talking about 1980 and onwards, now we started talking about pH. Old bottles don't have pH. Okay, it was not of a concern, and we did not know as customers, and we drink water. We never knew about that we need to have a pH greater than 7 to be really better. And Arwa actually is 6.7 مثلا. يعني I'm not sure Arwa has 6.7, but there are many bottles that has 6.7, and we tested one of the bottles once in the lab, and we found that it was 6.5. Why? Because it was stored in a hot place, and some of the let me say the bottle components dissolve in water, and it caused that it increased the acidity, where pH was 6.5. So now pH is important. Now something else is important. 0% sodium. Bad. قصة جديدة. Okay, so there's no sodium. And with time, you're going to see some new stuff getting out other than pH and sodium. Now, what is the story? Why we are having this the new properties coming up, pH, Na? Well, why it is coming out? The reason of that is the customer satisfaction, the customer needs, which was not a priority in 1920s. It was not a priority. Our priority was what? Was just the product. If I had a product which looks great in front of me, and I taste it, and it's good, that's enough for me. But however, with time, we discovered that this is not enough. You need to look at the customer. You need to make sure that the customer is happy about this bottle or not. So you see, there's a difference. So what I'm trying to explain here, again, steady quality. For inspection, in 1920s, we tried to find if there's a problem and solve it, fix it. If there are any faults, when I taste, if there's a fault in the taste, when I look at it, there's a fault in the way of how it looks like. Yani, there's a fault in the burger that I have. I have the point of view of an inspected quality. So I inspect. I بفحص البرودكت اللي قدامي. So I inspect it. And what I'm expecting as a priority, I'm expecting to have the same product. The same product. Let me write here the word same as well. So I'm expecting to have the same product. okay, to have the same product. Now, sorry. Inspection, we just need the same product. We don't need to know that the customer is happy or not. We don't need to go to the customer. And you see the difference. The difference is what? If you have your eye on the customer, that means you need to go to the customer. You need to ask them. You need to make sure that they are happy or not. However, if my priority was steady quality, the same product, it's enough for me to see that I'm producing, but I don't need to go to the customer and ask him if he's happy with drinking water or not. And to be honest, most of our bottle companies that they are producing in Bahrain and most of the parts of the world, they concentrate on maybe till quality assurance, but they don't worry a lot about customer satisfaction, except for some other companies. Yani. Okay, so let's go to the next. Methods and tools. So here we can see the word sampling, measurement. Sampling معناته يعني you're taking a small sample. And here we have some other stuff. So what do we mean by samples? Now, when I go and inspect, okay, so when I as a person, let me change the color. Okay, so when I as a person here come and inspect, and what I'm looking at this bottle, for example, of water. And while I'm looking at the bottle of water, we produce, for example, 10,000 bottles per day. 1,000, لا أكثر, 10,000 bottles per day. So if we produce 10,000 bottles of water per day, are you expecting me to drink all those bottles? Of course not. يعني I will بنفجر. I cannot handle this, right? So yeah, so looking at this person, what he's going to do, he's going to take a sample of the bottles. So he will have many bottles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10,000, and then he will sample. He will just pick some of them. Now, talking about picking them, that was the old way of 1920s, just picking several ones, tasting several bottles, and then he's saying that everything is good, go ahead. Okay, now we can distribute them. So what I'm trying to say here, the inspector in the 1920s, he's trying to see that he has the same product. How he's doing this? He's taking a sample of the products, a sample of the product. And his responsibility, of course, is inspection. So he's taking sample of the product. Now, what is it different from 1920 to 1950? Well, 1920 and 1950, we started getting into more control part. We are going to explain the others in a moment, where we have a statistical quality control. Statistical quality control. And then, what do we mean by statistical quality control? We mean that we need to look at the level of confidence. Before I continue, let me see. Do you have any idea? I'm waiting for an answer now. Do you have any idea about what do I mean by level of confidence or statistical quality control? تذكرون أو لا?
Yeah.
Yep. Can you tell me, please?
Like the data analysis, we have level of confidence, and then we do something related to statistics.
Okay. So, do you have any idea, for example, of the probability if the level of confidence is above 95% for a sample? What does it mean?
Like we are sure 95% and more that this product is good and fine.
Hello. Great. Definitely correct. So now, to get to a 95%, for example, level of confidence, where you are 95% sure, as Ahmed mentioned, you're 95% sure that if you drink water from Arwa, for example, if you drink a bottle of water, you're 95% confident that it will be satisfactory in terms of pH, NA, taste, shape, and all of that. You're 95% satisfactory. But how do you know that? To get to a 95% level of confidence, you need to do some kind of statistical tool, because you're not going to taste all the bottle of waters. So in the statistical tool, it identifies the sample. It tells you how many samples you need, how many samples you need to try to get to this 95% of confidence level. This is based on what? This is based on statistical tools that you already have taken, where you calculate the mean, you calculate the standard deviation, and you calculate the median. لا median ما كان من ضمنهم. The mean, you calculate the variance. The variance is related to the standard deviation, however, and of course the sample size, and the total of samples, and so on. So from the information that we have, and using the statistical tables that had been formed, you can know what are the number of samples that you need to get to. But here I identified 95%. If you identify 99%, oh my God, that means you need, of course, more samples. And it's obvious, right? It is very obvious that if I want a higher level of confidence, I need more samples. But still, you don't need to taste every bottle. Of course, you cannot taste every bottle, and you taste every bottle, and again, قبل ما يمشي, before the customer leaves, you open the bottle, you drink from it, and that's good. Go ahead, drink it. So it doesn't work like that. So of course there are statistical tools. But here, when you say statistical tool, that means there's more control. Control on what? Not only on the final product, but you're having control on the different stages of the product, okay? Different stages to the product. So you have a control on the human error. You want to know how many human errors do I have? With this number of human errors that I have, would I reach a 99% level of confidence or not? What about the supply chain? If this supply chain has no errors, supply chain, that means raw materials, your equipment, I have no problem with my equipment, it's working, and then I have my final product. If this supply chain is good, then I can be 95% level of confidence that this will be okay. Well, let me give another example. Oh my God, I like to bring some strange examples in my head. Okay, and sometimes it's just fun to apply all those examples in a different way. So what I'm thinking for a moment, I'm thinking the students, what do they want? They want, if they want to register 5 courses, and exactly that 5 courses there, this is their goal. They want to achieve this. Now, so how much, what is the percentage of level of confidence as the deanship of registration in the University of Bahrain? They are confident that every student will register 5 courses according to their needs. According to their needs. Do you want to give me a number, or do you think that we are 95% confident that all students will get 5 courses according to their needs?
Sure, not.
99.5.
حلوة. insane. Oh my God, هذه قوية. So طبعا the thing is that I know when some administrators or they hear about this, what I'm talking about, maybe they're not happy because they're putting a lot of effort. I know that you're putting a lot of effort, but the customer, now I'm talking about quality. The customer does not look at the effort, okay, the efforts of the supplier or the buyer. It's not of their concern. It's not of their concern at all. So when they taste the burger, you cannot tell him that, you know, this burger, يعني, it had taken me, I have went to 7 different shops to get the best bread. And I have tried 10 different mustard sauces to get the best sauce. And I have brought the best machine from US just to have this well done or even medium done according to the customer needs. And then you as a customer tell me that's not good. But the customer, he doesn't bother about, well, she rate him in when he bought it from where, he got it from, يعني اللي يكون. He doesn't bother about all those efforts. What he looks at is what is the final product. He wants customer needs. At the end of the day, is what is customer needs and satisfaction. So this is what I want. I want a customer satisfaction. You always hear about customer comes first and so on. And so you want a customer satisfaction. So just looking at, if I want a 95% confidence of every student getting registering 5 courses, I need to look at not only the final product, which is my registration system. I need to look at the whole stages. Okay, so, and what is the difference? The difference, if I'm looking at the registration system, I'm working as a quality of which level? I'm looking at this quality as from the inspection viewpoint. Okay, inspection viewpoint. That means I'm thinking, I'm taking the approach, not thinking. I'm taking the approach. If I have a problem with the registration system, I'm going to fix it. And this is what is happening. And this is what is happening. We are not looking at the registration system as a whole process, which means I need to shift from being inspecting my registration process and taking samples of very few and making, and samples means I tell few students to register and just making sure that everything is working, and khalas. That is, you're still looking at your product, which is the registration system. I gave you a very different example just to expand your thinking. So we are not looking at the product. We need to go to quality management, even quality assurance, at least, where you don't look only at the registration system. You look at the very beginning, where the department sends to register, and it goes to the registrar and the advisor. And so there are many stages. Even after the registration, there are some other stages. So what I'm trying to say, that you need to look at the whole stages together. It's not enough to look at what I'm trying to mention here, which is inspection part. Okay, so I hope now that the inspection now is very clear in your head, that how it is good. It is part of quality, but it is not enough. It is not enough. Great. Do you have any questions so far? Before I already explained quality control and assurance, but I will explain more. Okay, do you have any questions? يعني أفكار تيجي في بالك?
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Okay, it looks everything is fine so far. So, as you have seen, that we are trying to take different examples here, so that we can understand what is inspection. Now, quality control. We already have taken some examples, but let's understand even more in depth. So, we are looking at all stages in the process, okay? Looking at all stages of the process rather than the final product. So that is quality control. And the word control came into being. طبعا, in 1920s to 1950s, someone who was Stewart, he started working on some statistical tools. Well, he started taking some samples, and he says that, well, I can tell you that if you can always produce the same product with a certain level I'm very sure it's not only sampling. We can know how many samples, and it's not only how many samples, how frequent we take the samples. So here we are trying to control now our inspection part. So from 1920 and 1950, things طبعا had been changing. Even the education system changed. And I don't know if you know this or not. From 1920 to 1950, our education system changed. Everything changed يعني تقريبا in that era. But when I say education system changed, يعني شنو؟ يعني in the 1900s, we started having the new education system, which means we have a school, we have a college, we have a university. You go step by step, studying تقريبا everything. You study math, you study Arabic, you study English, you study science, you study every bit and piece. You go from one class to another class. That is the new modern. And modern, that doesn't mean that it is better, but it was fit for purpose for that era in which we needed what? We also needed products. Products, I know you understood that we need products like cars. Now I mean we need products as people. We need people who think at a certain way. And we also started producing people. We want more people to work for the industry and factory. How to work? So please start working. So even in 1920s, we look at the person, if he's fit or not. But after 1920 and 50, we started having the schools to produce. So we started controlling the way of how we produce the right person. Wow, that is قوية دي. I never thought of it like that. Okay, I never thought of it like producing people under control. Oh my God, this makes me think of something that I should write. Okay, I will think about that later. Sorry, just a moment. I'm putting things in paper. Okay, so the main idea from that was in my head was quality control of products, but now I'm thinking about people as products, because I need to have a mass production of people, not only a mass production of cars, so that people can use cars to make more money. I also need a mass production of people, and to make mass production of people, I need to have very similarly control of every stage. But what I'm trying to say here also that the education system is new. The life of our new education system is only 100 years. It had been good, of course, but it also has some drawbacks. Why? Because you're talking about education system which are 1,000 years of age, which is different than our new education system, which is only 100 years of age. Forget about it. This is another topic. So quality control from 1920 and 50. What made it difference? It still looks at problem solving to fix it. However, rather than looking for faults, I'm trying to control it. Rather than telling that the bottle is not good, I'm trying to control the process to make it better. And looking at faults, that means I'm looking only at the product. But if I try to control, that means I may control the العامل. I forgot the word in English. So the labor, I may look at the labor who's working, which is the human resources, or it could be a financial matter, which could be money, for example, or it could be because of the equipment, which is another problem, or it could be, and so on. So what I started looking at here, I started looking into more depth into the faults. Why do I have faults? So that I can control. So the way the inspection used to be before is that there's a problem, fix it. However, for quality control, now we need to control things. So I will not look at the final product only. I will look at all stages of the process. All stages of the process inside the organization. Okay, inside the organization. So all stages of the process inside the organization, inside of my company. So what is inside my company? It's my labor, my money, my equipment. Do I have any problem with them or not? So I need to fix it. Maybe the fault that I have because my labor are not well trained. Maybe the fault that I have is because I don't have enough money. So I bought some cheap stuff, cheap bread or cheap steel, not very well done. I have equipment which are out of the specifications, which do not fit my specification. So I'm trying to control here. Now, what is my point of view? What is the way of thinking? My way of thinking. My way of thinking, instead of being inspection, so I'm expecting, I have the mind of controlling. I want to control things. How to control it? Fix the labor, fix the money, fix the equipment. Okay. Not only fix the product, but fix any part of the stages. So I have this mindset of controlled quality. So here the word point of view is good to put the mindset also between brackets. I think it helps. So what I'm looking at the same product, steady quality, and less need for inspection. Why should I have less need for inspection? Because I'm not only looking at the final product. If I fix the labor, I fix the money, I fix the equipment, I need less inspection. Let's give an example that is totally different from what we are talking about. So you have your small brother or sister, or I have my kids, يعني عيالي. So do I need to look for my son? My son here, and now he's at University of Bahrain first year. So he's younger than you than few years only. So I'm getting old. Okay, so my son is in first year University of Bahrain student. Now, do I need to inspect that he's studying well, he sleeps at the right time, he solves the assignments, he doesn't have bad friends, he memorizes all of his work and studies it very well. He goes visits his family members, and this is all about inspection. And you already know that raising our kids, sometimes we continue inspecting them and looking for what? Looking for faults to fix it at the same time. And actually this is not right. It could be right when they were small kids at a certain stage, but you need to inspect a lot and you have more samples or more watching for your kid. But as they grow, you start losing a little bit. Why you're losing your control? Actually, it is part of control. You're not using your control. You're using your watching. You're losing your inspection. Why? Because you already have your kid under control. I don't mean under control, but he's doing what he's doing right. He's studying. He's doing things really right. يعني يخاف الله يعني and why he's doing things right? Because I fixed the labor part, I fixed the money part, I fixed the equipment part. What I'm trying to say that I looked at all the stages. I'm looking at all stages. So I already developed a lot of characters within my kid. So I will have less inspection. Now I don't need to watch my kid. يعني ما يحتاج أطالعه في كل لحظة ايش قاعد يسوي. I don't need to see him at every moment. Why? Because I'm confident that he will do the right thing. So I need less inspection. Why? Because I already controlled the whole processes. Different example, just for you to get an idea. It expands. These different examples just expand the way of thinking. The way of how you look at quality control at many different aspects. نرجع مرة ثانية. So quality control, you'll have less inspection to make sure that you have the same quality. Why? Because you already control all bits and pieces of the process. And of course, you're going to have statistical quality control. sampling, of course, not only sampling and measurement. No, you have statistical control, as we said, sampling, confidence level, and you're very sure everything is under control. You're taking samples with calculations to make sure that's under control. So you're not inspecting, you are designing the process. You're designing the product. You're designing the whole process of labor, money, and equipment to work synchronously in a very harmonized manner, so that we have your product in a very well good product quality wise. Okay, so what about now the quality assurance and quality management? Quality assurance and quality management, they are different in somehow a different way, but to explain quality assurance and quality management, I also need more time. So you can see, we have one slide. Of course, this slide is full of stuff, but believe me, this slide was explained to me within 5 minutes, just explaining what do we mean by problem solving and so on. But I try to give you a lot of examples just to show you how what is the difference, real difference between inspection and quality control, and what our restaurants are doing today, or our companies. Are they are looking at the final product only, or they are looking at all of the stages of the process to have quality control? And of course, quality assurance is something else. Okay, quality assurance is something else. Instead of sitting inside the organization, now we are starting coordinating. We are starting going out of the organization. So to quality assure that everything goes right, you need to make sure that your supplier is good as well. Not only your processes, you need to coordinate well with all your suppliers and customers to make sure that things are correct. So that is a big difference with quality assurance, which we will take tomorrow, inshallah, day after tomorrow on Thursday. So that is part of what we have taken today. We are going to continue next on Thursday, quality assurance and quality management. And then we're going to explain who are the people who lived in these eras and made this shift from one place to another. So made the shift of the mindset of quality to shift from one era to another. And what were their standards or points? So Deming had wrote 14 points. He said to be quality controlled, you need to have these 14 points. Juran came, he said, well, I have another point that you also should consider. Crosby said something else, and so on. Okay, and you always see American people, because this was the era, the golden era of American people, and they have the media in hands, so definitely they will always appear more than others, even if they are of less quality than others. That's all. Do you have any questions?
I do, please.
Yes, please, go ahead.
Thanks. Doctor, regarding the supply chain, is it like the equipment?
The whole supply chain, I did not explain that yet, but the whole supply chain, that means it starts from the supplier. Hello? مثلا, now I'm going to build a building. I'm a contractor. I want to get some bricks. Who are the suppliers to get the right brick that I want to put it for this home? Thinking of it, there are many suppliers. There are more than 10, 20 suppliers who supply bricks. Which one I'm going to select? And so talking about which one to select, I need to select something that is going to be in my supply chain, starting from the supplier, delivery. Supplier means many stuff. My brother, he works somehow just a beginner as a supplier, as a contractor. So he said that there is a good supplier, but if you order from that supplier, you will not get your order except after 2 weeks. It's like saying that we have a very good shop. I still remember when I went to Kuwait to a very good burger shop. It looks like I like burgers, and what got a carrer. Okay, so So you're going to a burger shop. I forgot its name. Yeah, I can't recall it. It's coming and going. Whatever. So when I went there, I need to wait for 2 hours to get my burger. Why? Because there's a long queue, a very long queue. Now the question is that now if this was the if this is the product that you want to give me, I don't want it. I cannot wait for 2 hours. What I'm trying to say, sometimes you work with very good supplier, but they are late, and if they are late, you're late for the customers, and if you're late for the customers are not happy, and the customers will not tell you it's because of the supplier. They don't bother about it. They will tell you you are responsible for it. That means you're going to lose business. So you need to look at the whole supply chain. So that's the answer, and we're going to explain inshallah on Thursday.
Thanks.
Any other questions? Okay, great. It's 11:52, and I'm very happy that we are progressing, and inshallah see you on Thursday. يعطيكم العافية وما قصرتوا. بالتوفيق. مع السلامة جماعة.
يعطيك العافيه دكتور.
الله يسلمك ياسي.